way we do it. And the way Teams is built is to, again, create content and expose small businesses to the world so that you can be found for what you do. That was the original purpose, and it will always be the purpose of Relax Teams, is to help each other get found and as cost effectively as possible. So now, getting into favorite mobile apps. I get to shut up at this point, and I'll just turn it over to everybody else. So who wants to jump in? Come on, somebody has to have a favorite app.
I'll go. I mean, probably the app I rely the most on is Waze. I love Waze. You know, it's I'm an early adapter. I'm a king twice. I use it in my RV. I use it in my car, and I don't know. I'm assuming you all know what Waze is, and it's not a business thing, but it gets me to places on time, and I'm grateful for that. So Waze is something that I would never not use.
Cool. And just, and again, more of the general topic and discussion. How are people feeling about the apps in general? Because obviously Waze, you're giving up a lot of location information. You're giving up a lot of that ability or that personal privacy in order to have
nothing to hide.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What was that?
I said I have nothing to hide. And I find it, I like to know that there's a Dunkin' Donuts to my right, you know, so it's fine.
Exactly.
I agree with Chris. Waze is the best.
Yep.
I love it.
I like how they have those little candies that are along the way as you're going, like you get points or something. I don't even know how it works, but I always feel good when I reach one of them.
Yeah, I go out of my way to get them.
Well, it's funny you actually mentioned the privacy thing because I think it was 2019. I was looking for a new car and I was going to get the new RAV4, but they didn't have Android Auto because Toyota was like, well, you know, they're too invasive. Android Auto's too invasive about your privacy, this, that. And I'm like, well, let me worry about that. So I wound up not even buying a Toyota. I went to Buick and they had everything in there. So it was kind of like, you know, they lost out on a sale of probably what is like a $35,000, $40,000 car because they're worried about my privacy, which is great, but that's kind of my decision. And, you know, I run into it a lot in the banking world where we're trying to get a lot of people to go digitally just because it's easier. It's, you know, it's cheaper. It's, you know, less people coming to the teller line so we can help them with, you know, more important things. And they're always worried about, you know, privacy and safety. And you know what? I'm like, do you have a social security number? And they go, yeah. I'm like, your information's already out there. Like it doesn't, you know, you have to protect yourself in certain ways. Don't open, you know, an email from a Nigerian prince saying, hey, we're going to give you $1 million if you send me $100. But like, you know, be smart about it. But your information is already out there. If you have Facebook or any of these other apps, or if you own a cell phone, a smartphone.
If you have a smartphone, they're always listening.
Yeah, it's already out there. I mean, even I was in the Marines and I got mail the one day saying, oh yeah, your social security number has been compromised. We'll protect you for 3 years or whatever. I was like, whatever. It's already out there. You know what I mean? Everything is already out there. Just got to be smart and, you know, protect yourself.
And Jeannie, that's what you do, right, Jeannie? That's part of what you do.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I don't want to put in a plug in here right now, but but you know what? I really just wanted to give kudos to the Zoom platform because I cannot believe how we can just speak to people from all over the world within a short period of time when prior to COVID, it was only a select few that did that, right? And now Zoom has become such a popular app and such a popular platform. I mean, yesterday alone, within an hour and a half, I spoke to someone in Ireland, Canada, Philly, and New York.
Hey,
Live.
Philly's the biggest different world, right?
Exactly. And we were just looking at each other and speaking to each other. You're so funny. And we're looking at each other and we're speaking to each other as if we were sitting in the room with the comfortability of knowing who we're doing business with. And that, to me, I don't know about other people how they feel about that, but that's a huge turn for anyone in the business world, I think. But I love Waze too, Chris. I'm gonna tell you. Let me tell you why I love Waze. It tells me about the cameras, so I'm not getting tickets anymore for going
Yeah, the police.
1 mile over the speed limit.
Yeah, and shame on me for not mentioning Zoom. You're right, Jeannie. And Zoom's the best, right? And we have a virtual trade show Friday on the Zoom platform. Couldn't have done that a year ago.
Right.
Well, I have to tell you, Relax Tax itself, we've, and people who know me have known what I've done. I mean, I've literally been ready for this since 2010, and I've gone out and gone what I say call go behind enemy lines. And like, I knew that debt finance. So when we talk about the college planning and stuff, the reason I took the job and went into that company that builds and determines the likelihood of the college rule and all those things and sold to every college the tools was so that I now know. I went behind enemy lines and really understand all the software, the tools, and what work that the colleges are using to select people. You know, I went and worked for Liberty Mutual so that I would understand insurance behind the scenes, because all along I was just waiting for the world to be ready for this. And now that they are, it's great. I mean, it's exciting.
Well, yeah, the technology has been there. We've just kind of been forced to use it. Like I remember using Skype when I was 14, you know, to talk to my buddies online before, you know, online gaming got as huge as it is, and, you know, things like that. So the technology has always been there. Zoom isn't really that new. It's just we've been, you know, forced to use it. And it's just, we realize, wow, we could have been doing this the whole time.
Yeah.
It's funny because prior to COVID, people will be, I tell them, let's Zoom so that we don't have to do the traveling. And they would be like, no, let's meet together.
Yeah.
And now I say, let's meet together. And they're going, no, let's Zoom. So the difference is huge, but it's wonderful. I mean, if we just sit down for 5 minutes and think about the travel time that we took to do business just a year ago, and how we're using that time for business now instead of travel time, that's huge. Somebody did that the other day. It was 30 hours a month that they were just traveling. That's crazy.
I'm
That's
going to play devil's advocate to that, because when you think about it is a good thing, it's also a bad thing. I remember driving my car between appointments and going places and using that time to decompress, to think about what I just talked about and next steps, as opposed to going boom, 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 boom. You know, there's a lot of cases out there of people that are getting, you probably heard, Zoom burnout, because they think, oh, it's so efficient, let me just go from one to another. And they're not really taking the time to process things. And I've seen it with some people where things just get lost because they're just on the go, gotta go.
Right. Well, you know, that's something that you could do on your own. And I don't mean to monopolize the conversation, but that's something you could just realize, okay, you need to decompress. So do not do one Zoom after the other. Take a half an hour in between so that you can decompress, that you can figure it out, so you can go over it in your brain. So that's something that, you know, if you need to do that, you most certainly have the ability to do that without having to get into your car, travel, and worry about, you know, if you're going to, you know, get into traffic or be late for an appointment or any of those other stresses that go along with, you know, going from one appointment to the other. So,
good question.
You know, finding a gas station.
Other than Zoom, does anybody have any business apps that they enjoy using?
I have to say you know, I'm in medical insurance, and I do have to say some of the medical insurance apps have gotten a lot better. They're using, you know, they're getting people on virtual care first and foremost, but they're also putting together a lot more benefits there. And it's really one-stop shop. And, you know, I tell a lot of members, you know, you can get your cards there, you can get your claims there, you can find your doctors there, you can find even some benefits and rewards programs there. And I'm actually a person who really despises apps just from a mind clutter standpoint, you know, having too many things on the phone or having to rely on technology. But I try to develop a balance between you know, technology and not having technology to rely on. But I do have to say some of the apps, like, you know, I know Horizon, Capital Blue Cross, Cigna has a really amazing app, and they really do. It's really one-stop shop for everything that a lot of my Cigna people need. You know, every time they're asking me for something, I go, "You really need to get that app, man. It's got everything you need right there."
Does anybody use Nextdoor?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your
Love
experience?
that.
Do you?
So I'm in the process of moving, and so that's an advantage of Zoom, right? So Zoom, you don't know where I am. I could be in Timbuktu, and I love that. I can be anywhere, and as much as I'm going to miss my office roommate Lisa, who's on here, I'm living in Woodstock, New York, and maintaining a New Jersey presence. But Nextdoor has been very helpful in my move and finding movers and looking for networking events and things like that. There's a lot of chatter on there, and it's a little slow. You get a response 3-4 days later. So if your house is on fire, like, don't use Nextdoor.
We'll wrap. 2-minute warning to wrap up the conversation. It's been wonderful. This is a really good conversation. You know, want to make sure that's it. That's the purpose of these conversations, is also get a chance to understand and meet each other, and and understand, get a better feeling for each other. So. Great
Dennis, I would have to be crazy if I didn't mention my M&T banking app that is with me everywhere, and all businesses should have. But if you don't, it's okay. But seriously, I think all banking apps really are just like really the heart of your business. I mean, nowadays, you used to have to go in to do everything, and now you can just, you can take a picture of a check. I know we've adapted where, if we know a business owner, we're doing, email me your docs. I'll create the whole business account and just get me the signatures, and we're done. And we could do everything over the phone. So now, instead of you taking time out of your day, sitting with me for a half hour, 45 minutes, staring at me while I'm typing everything in, we're able to just get that part done, so I can actually talk to you more about your business and how things are going. And, we can go to the next step if you need, check scanner, treasury management, merchant services, all this stuff, instead of, having to come in every time and, do everything. And DocuSign's been awesome. I don't know if anyone's using that, but the bank just adopted that last year, and it's great.
Yeah. And I would say, I think
for years.
Sorry, I think the theme is the same, except for like the mobile features, like when this all started. I think it's a wonderful conversation how it all started around Waze and how you're driving and going different places, and then everything else has seemed to just been a mobile extension of a desktop. And I think that's really where the mobile apps are right now. There aren't really very many powerful standalone mobile apps. It's really just being able to do everything you can do on your desktop on your phone. And that's something we did with RelaxAx. That was one of the things that we focused on with RelaxAx, is having that ability. But the one app that really works so much better on the phone that I can think of than on the desktop is an app called Expensify. It's free. I recommend everyone to use this app because it tracks all the free version. It tracks your expenses. It tracks your mileage. It covers all those things. It's a free tool. You can tie it into your M&T or whatever bank account you have. They actually even give you a credit card, so it does the accounting for you. I totally recommend people use that Expensify app. That's something that we really, it's kind of almost not required, but when we work with realtors and things, it is required. You got to have that because of what you're doing and being on the road so often. So that's it. So great conversation. So we'll wrap that up here. And now let's get into our introductions.